My interest in track and field was kind of similar to my interest in football, and that is to say that I kind of tailored my athletic career after my father. He was number 42 on, when he played football for Catholic back in '73. And he was also a pole vaulter. He was a state champion pole vaulter back in '74 at Catholic as well. So that's why I got interested in pole vaulting. So when I started in 7th grade, we didn't even have a pole vault pit here. We actually had to petition with Ken Ernie to get a pit. It just so happened that Ken Ernie was nice enough to get us a $9,000 pole vaulting pit. We put it out there, and we got a new runway put down and everything. And I had to use some of the old poles that were 15 years old because they hadn't had pole vaulting here in 15 years, which was fine in the early years.
Well, his dream was kind of a rough one. He had a rough start. You knew he was talented, but with the equipment we had back then, it was all old. It was probably older than me, and we're starting up a brand new program with this amazing talent. In his first meet, he's pole vaulting. It was a little dual meet with Whitehall. I knew nothing about it. His dad wasn't able to show up, but the one thing I did know is that he was bending that pole so much he wasn't even getting off the ground. We didn't know anything about weight limits and the weights of the poles back then, that his weight had to be under the pole weight. So he just grabbed the pole and we just started jumping, and he was just crushing that pole. That's what we call it when the pole bends way too much and he wasn't able to get any lift out of it. I don't even think he cleared opening height, but we knew what the problem was. We needed to find a better pole. And then here we are at the state meet, and they're both going on at the same time. He'll go on and do pole vault, and then he's got to run over and do long jump, and then he'll run over and do pole vault again, and then he's got to go back and do long jump. And he got to the finals, or he's like one of the last 3 guys, and they're both still going on at the same time. Finally had to say, I just got to pole vault. So he made the decision to drop the long jump. Who knows, he may have been all state in that too. And he went on to win the pole vault.
Now, when I was at Michigan State and being on being at Nationals in Sacramento, California, being on that stage is very, very nerve-wracking. And being at some of the Big Ten championships, I had the privilege of becoming the Big Ten champion at IU one year, and just to be on that stage, and everyone look at you, and your name gets announced with the gold thing around your neck. It's kind of like a mini Olympics. It's kind of cool to be able to get that sensation from track, which you don't normally get. So in terms of the times that stand out the most to me for specific competitions, obviously both state championships that I had stick out in my brain. At my senior year specifically, because it was at Hausman Field, where previously that year we were practicing for football for the Dome. So it was kind of neat to go back there for my state championship, and then Nationals, having to drive down to North Carolina, Raleigh, and that was where Nationals was, and then ended up being All-American. So
he's the kind of kid who was good and knew it, and those kind of kids are fun to work with. Some people view him as kind of cocky, but as a coach, that if they're coachable and they have that attitude, that they're going to be really good.
My interest in football started, I guess, before my personal interest started. I was pushed to play it as a little kid. I started, I think, when I was 6 years old. But specifically, my first time stepping foot as a varsity player, I remember it was kind of a big deal because our first game was at Ferris State University against Petoskey, and it was on turf, and it was, it wasn't at home, it wasn't on our stadium, which I had played on before, just not as varsity player. But to play at a college for your first varsity game was pretty exciting. More memorable is my first varsity game here at Fruitport, because we always ran down the tunnel and got our clap going. And then when you walk out on the field, you just hear the roar of the Trojans fans, and it was really, really neat to see, because being one of those people out there cheering and thinking these football players are gods when you're a kid, and then being those players, it's kind of a cool transition.
I was actually the other halfback, so I was doing a lot of blocking for him. So, it was funny when my dad first mentioned about putting me in the backfield. He told me I wasn't going to be carrying the ball. And then he was going to be a primary blocker. When you have a kid like Markus Langlois in the backfield, you want to make sure that we can pave the way. So between Greg Schultz and I, we had a great chance to open up some big holes. And then, of course, credit to the line for that year, because they did a fantastic job busting some big holes, and then Markus did the rest. He put the ball in the end zone.
The friends that I had made on that football team, I felt we had as a team, we had a really neat chemistry and just an outstanding camaraderie between us all. You know, there's not a single person on that football team that if I see today, I will not go up and give a hug and say, hey man, it's really good to see you, you know, because I don't get to see a lot of them because I live out of town and across the state, and I lived out of the country for 2 years. Making that run in 2001, you know, and the football team going to the state finals, it was a lot of fun. You know, the regular season being undefeated was really nice because to me it got exclamated by playing my intrinsic rival, Reese Puffer, because that's where I went to school. And I had a lot of childhood friends on that team. And to be able to finish out regular season being undefeated against them was kind of neat for me.
You know, actually it wasn't even offensively. I think when he had his defensive interception that ran back for a touchdown, I think it was about 405 yards, and he kind of picked it off in the back of the end zone and made a lot of moves and probably ran more yards than what he needed to between left and right, but finally ended up taking the ball to the end zone, so that was pretty neat. Offensively, anytime he touched the ball, he usually made something happen, and so it was pretty fun to make some big blocks and then turn around and then see Markus squirt free. So
I'll tell you this, Markus wanted the football. Markus was the kind of kid that it was 4th and inches on the goal line. Markus would be the guy that would want the ball to get it in, and Markus would do that 10 times out of 11. And he had just tremendous desire, tremendous will. And I think that attitude rubbed off on his teammates. They all had that same attitude. They were just such a perfect group. But to have Markus be such an athlete and, you know, want the ball, and, you know, Markus did his part when he wasn't carrying the ball, but, you know, Markus wanted to carry the rock.
To celebrate.
Yes, I did. And this was, to me, it was out of character for me because, you know, all week long we were so excited about being 8-0, and we were playing Reese Puffer, who was 0-8. But I went out of character against Reese Puffer because it was my release, it was my just take that kind of moment for me, and I did a backflip. And but the funny thing is before I did that, I kind of indirectly asked for permission. You know, I said, what would happen if I were to accidentally do a backflip after I scored a touchdown? And they were like, both Coach Rieger and Coach Wilson were like, you just better wait. If you do that, you will get screamed at.
I was really impressed with the run that Markus made. I was impressed, but I was also one of the maddest I've ever been at Markus. Reese Puffer, Game 9, the year we went to the Dome, Markus ran in the end zone, scored a touchdown, and proceeded to do a backflip in full equipment right in front of the official, which brought on a personal foul. You know, I was really impressed with the fact that he could do a backflip in the end zone, but I was really upset with him that he would do a backflip in the end zone after a touchdown during a very important game. I met him halfway off the field, and verbally I was really mad at him, and inside I was just impressed. And I did tell him that after graduation, that was one of the most awesome things I've ever seen, but, you know, not being able to condone something like that. But that was a lot of fun. You know, luckily we ended up winning that game.
So the transition from, you know, little old Fruitport to big old East Lansing, Michigan State, that was a culture shock for me. It was just a totally different culture because I was up at 6 a.m. in the weight room for 2 hours. I would go to class from 8 until 2. I would go to practice at 2 to 5, and then I would go lift at 5:30 to 6:30. And then I would go practice again from 7 till 7:30 or 7:45, and then go to study hour from 8 until 9:30 at night. So my entire day, I was lucky to get lunch, breakfast, or dinner in. I felt very fortunate to have the coaching staff that I was blessed to have here at Fruitport, you know, and we catch a lot of slack here at Fruitport for being the corn-fed, you know, the country folk, but the coaches that I was blessed to have, you know, Coach Wilson's, Coach Rieger's, Coach Vargas, Stebleton, and the roster, Coach Roop, Coach Pringle, all of those guys were just amazing, not only amazing coaches, but amazing mentors. And I still talk to each and every one of them till this day. It saddens me to, you know, when I think about the 3 coaches that I had that have now passed, you know, Coach Rick Hesselute, Don Pringle, and Larry Rieger. It really saddens me because you know, I can't share those same memories that I can share with Coach Wilson now, and Coach Vargas. You know, I talk to Vargas on a very regular basis, and same with Stebleton. So I feel very blessed that Fruitport has provided, you know, such quality coaches, and I felt privileged, and I know a lot of my friends felt very privileged to be able to have those as mentors and life counselors. I would kind of like to say, you know, being inducted into this Hall of Fame it was very unexpected for me. I looked at some of the, you know, the criteria, and I apparently just made the cut because you have to be out 10 years. But to be, you know, coupled with, you know, the Mike Teeter, the Tom Trojan, the Matt Brink, you know, the people that I always looked up to growing up, you know, I feel very honored and very privileged to be, you know, grouped with the group of people, you know, and to share the same honor as Doc Pierce, who I, you know, alluded to earlier, was a very big inspiration to me, you know, becoming a doctor now, and I feel very honored that they asked me to do this. So.
Class 2002, Markus Langlois. Mark was a member of the 2001 Trojan runner-up football team. That was still Silverdome days, right? Yeah? He also held a prep record for the longest interception return for a touchdown, over 100 yards. He twice won the Division II pole vault state championship, earning all-state honors and setting a Division II state meet record, 15 feet 3 inches. He also owned conference and GMAA championships in pole vault. His 15-foot 6-inch vault still stands on the Trojan record board. In the spring of 2002, Mark was named to the prestigious Muskegon Area Hall of Fame for excellence in scholarship and athletics as a student athlete. He went on to Michigan State, competed in NCAA National Championships in 2005 after a third-place Midwest Regional finish. A season later, he was Big Ten runner-up in the outdoor vault. In 2007, he became the Big Ten indoor champion by vaulting 17 1 1/4. Mark will receive his medical degree this spring from the American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine. Please welcome Mark Langlois.
Howdy. So I'm going to keep this short. I don't really like to talk that much, and a lot of what I have to say isn't worth hearing anyway. So again, like everyone says, this is a huge honor for me. You know, Fruitport is always my home. No matter how far away from home I get, you know, I always like to come back here. And this is such a cool thing to be. I mean, some of these guys are celebrities to me. I shouldn't be grouped with them, you know. It's one of those humbling experiences that I have in my life. You know, another one of those humbling experiences was with actually Mr. Tom Trojan. When I had won when I won the Big Ten championship, it was at IU where he was a coach, and he had walked up to me, and I'm holding my medal. You know, I'm getting pictures with my family, and he walks up and he says, "Hey, let me see that." And I says, "Well, why do you want to see this?" He, you know, with all of his accolades, he says, "I've never seen a gold, you know, Big Ten championship medal, you know," and that was kind of humbling to me to have this guy who's All-American, Olympian, all that stuff. So that was really cool. So, you know, thanks for that moment as well, Tom. You know, I may be honored up here, you know, with this plaque and everything, but the people who deserve the honor are the people who actually had to put up with me, you know, throughout all these years. You know, notably, you know, everybody at Fruitport High School, the administration. Number one, I want to thank Ken. Actually, you know, we just talked about you know, the tradition of Fruitport, and you know, when I wanted to pole vault at Fruitport, they hadn't had it in 15 years. So I actually had to have Ken help me pave the way for Fruitport to actually have that. There was some sort of insurance issue with the diving board in the middle school, and I don't really remember the specifics, but he actually went out and bought me a $10,000 pole vault pit. So that was really kind of nice of him to allow me to do that. So thanks, Gavin. I appreciate that. Also, I want to thank all the coaches. I can't list all the coaches that have impacted my athletic career. The coolest thing about having such good coaches at Fruitport is after having graduated, now they're now my friends. And I was always worried that when I had left Fruitport that I would kind of be a forgotten athlete or whatever, but I come back, everyone says hi to me, they give a big hug, and it's really neat to have that experience going from pupil to peer, and I really appreciate that. So thanks to all you coaches that are here. Also, I want to thank some of my friends that I had back in the day that would always push me. I got Newt and Maud here that are my boys from back in the day. So I appreciate it, all my friends that have pushed me along as well. And most importantly is my family. I got my pops, who I pretty much mirrored his athletic career. He was a pole vaulter. He was a football player, number 42 as well. And I just I tried to, mirror his athletic accomplishments and all that stuff. So, thank you, Dad. I appreciate that. And my mom, who's always been my faith counselor and, one of those life counselors as well. And my sisters, who were never afraid to give me a kidney punch or whatever I needed to keep me on the straight and narrow. And now, the new addition to my family, my fiance Danny, who regrettably is not here due to the loss of her family, but she's the one who puts up with me now, and that's the stress of medical school far outweighs any stress I had in athletics. So I really appreciate her. Like I said, Fruitport, no matter how far away I go, this is always my home. I was sitting on the beaches of St. Martin down in the Caribbean, and I was sitting there, like you said, topless, sunbathers and all that stuff. And you sit there, and I was looking at the beach, and I was like, I would much rather be sitting in our Muskegon beaches. I mean, being at one of the best beaches in the world, and I'm wishing I was back in Fruitport. It was just one of those kind of, the light went on, that's my home. Fruitport's always been my home. So, again, thank you very much. This was is such a great honor, and I'm really glad to be a part of the first class of the inductees, and hope to continue to make everybody proud as the future progresses. So thank you very much.